Scholars, Destiny just doesn't feel like Destiny anymore. Let's check it out.
I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor, here to spread the cheer. Join me on this adventure, where gaming wipes away the tears.
Welcome back to the Counselor's Office. I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor. Scholars, we're back to talking about Destiny. We're getting close to, June. I do have a video cooking for my opinions on the June update, and just plot, just a little spoiler. It's all cope. Not for me, but my thoughts on it is the update is cope. But we'll talk about it. But first, let's get to
Comment of the day. Yeah, comment of the day.
comment of the day is me. Me doing my part into encouraging people to play Warframe. Frostbolt has left Marathon in Destiny and is now playing Warframe, and so I'm telling you guys, go give them support. That's right. Wow, you're gonna give someone that supports Bungie your support? Absolutely, because they're giving digital stream support. Good company, great game. Go give them support if you like Warframe. That's all I gotta say. The little positivities. Yeah, positivities for Frostball. I hope he has a great time, and I hope he's a long-time player. All right, our video for today is talking about Reset Day feels empty, and boy, is that like a true statement. This is known as Sis. I'm gonna say Sis. Link will be down below if you want to watch it for yourself. Let's jump into it. Yeah, I don't know if he has music in the background. If so, I will turn mine off.
Modern Destiny 2 feels empty. There are a few things as disheartening.
I will do something though. I will go ahead and drop it. Everyone loves a little Dreadnought soundtrack. Let's drop it to 2. There we go. Is that Astacross? Oh my god.
Is logging on Reset Day only to realize that nothing reset. No vendor roles changed, nothing happened in the tower, there's nobody there to go check. Maybe you go check the gunsmith, but are you really checking the gunsmith? He hasn't had anything interesting in years. And then
yes, that is so true. And they try to make him interesting by having it to where you could focus weapons and making him the seasonal weapon guy. He went from Destiny 1, where you would go on Wednesdays for Arms Day to get some bounties and then hope that you get that sweet, god roll on Wednesday, the next rotation, to now he is literally the homeless guy who has schizophrenia that has a bunch of junk that he collects. He's literally the homeless people on the side of the street with schizophrenia with the carts full of random junk. That is the gunsmith. That is Banshee right now. My man needs some help.
And you go to the gunsmith and he has a slide shot spare rations, but it's off by 1 because a spare rations god roll is 1 in 2600. So of course he's off by 1. Destiny 2 feels empty. And so you go check the portal and you wonder, what's there daily? And nothing interests you, and Destiny 2 feels empty. And so you go to the Vanguard alerts and that almost interests you, and the only thing available is a fucking crossbow that doesn't even have a good damage perk, and it's for a
Based. The perfect way to explain what the portal is based on what he's saying. The portal is like going out to your mailbox and getting a bunch of junk mail and catalogs, and you see some restaurants and you go through, you're like, oh, we got Arby's coupons, you're like, but you're sifting through it and you're like, I don't want none of this shit, none of this is good. And so you sift through to see if there's anything of use, and then you're like, no, not this time around, and you throw it in the trash can. You're like, oh, we're done. That's the portal experience.
That doesn't even work on controller anyway. And so Destiny 2 feels empty. And so you go hoping against hope. You check the Crucible tab and you think maybe, just maybe, there will be something for me to do, and it's
Imagine in modern times going to Crucible and expecting anything with hope. Crucible, along with Gambit, is where hope goes to die. Unless you're hacking and you're turning yourself into the witness or into a skateboard and you're running people over. You know, those people, they're the killers of hope, along with Bungie.
Control, that's skill-based matchmaking, and it's Rift, that's skill-based matchmaking, and it's competitive, that's skill-based matchmaking. And so Destiny 2 feels empty, and there's nothing to do. The game is so empty, there's nothing to do. So what does a reset that is not empty look like? Well, if we contrast this with Destiny 1, there are tons of vendors every week that have gear that they have probably never sold before. Our site has a new palindrome. The
Yes.
Vanguard bot has new Vanguard weaponry. New Monarchy has new weapons and armor. Dead Orbit has new weapons and armor.
Hung Jury. People know Hung Jury in Destiny 2 as that annoying scout rifle that we've got multiple times as a Grandmaster Nightfall weapon, or the weapon they brought back for some reason in the Brave weapon set. Hung Jury was the shit in Destiny 1. Absolutely. People were going to, Dead Orbit, eyeing that role every week. They're like, do you have it? Hey, do you have it? And it was literally on videos everywhere. The week that he had a good role of Hung Jury, everyone, their brother, either was posting a video, or they were on forums, or you would go around and have people message you, was like, yo, bro, I logged in. You got to get on. Hung Jury, man. It got it. It's got the role, man. Like, it was a different experience in Destiny 1, where every vendor was an opportunity for a surprise and delight. You were excited to log in. I remember logging in because I had to work on like early the next day on the official reset time. Like, it was like way early, and like, was it like 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock? I don't know. Either way, I would wait in Destiny 1 just to see if I got a package of a god roll from the weaponsmith. If I got that juicy Amalon hand cannon with luck in the chamber, so I could 2-tap. I think it was 2-tap. I know the Hawkmoon had it too, but like, just the kills you can get with luck in the chamber. That was the shit. You were excited. Everyone that was in the tower, every vendor was an opportunity for something delightful. Now you go to the tower to just wait and do fuck all.
The Future War Cult has new weapons and armor. There are new Crucible bounties available.
Yes.
There are new Vanguard Elite bounties available. Why don't you go try and get Icebreaker? There's
Yes.
a new Nightfall and a new weekly Heroic Strike with random modifiers and a burn. A real burn. What if this week it's...
I'm gonna say right now, and maybe this is nostalgia bait in my own head, I swear Destiny Nightfalls were more of a challenge than Destiny 2 Grandmasters. I'm saying it. Maybe not, or the original Destiny 2 Grandmasters, like when they first launched, that was probably the peak of difficulty. After that, when abilities essentially became way stronger, because you gotta remember, Destiny 1 abilities were strong, but they were nowhere the level of strong that they are in Destiny 2. So it was literally just gunplay and surviving and maneuvering in Destiny 1. Also, you had very limited ammo. You had ammo sense for a reason. You didn't have infinite, guns or ammo on your primary, right? So things were a lot different. So the challenge, a different perspective. I want to go back and do a Nightfall in Destiny 1 again.
Specialist and Arc Burn? What if I can pull out my Fourth Horseman and insta-kill bosses?
Oh my God.
What if
you could pull out your dragon? You could pull out your dragon's breath, kill the Hydra, and then kill yourself so you could spawn at the checkpoint and keep farming for the strike specific loot and keep doing that over and over and over and over again. Man, talk about the things. Oh, Omnigul. No, here's the thing. People will never know what a real boss grind is. They will never know because they never experienced farming bosses like Omnigul. Oh my God. That bitch would give me some of the shittiest rolls possible.
Next week it's Solar Burn and Heavyweight. What if my Gallarhorn instantly turns things into dust? These are things that Destiny 2 hasn't had, ever, because Bungie is too afraid of making things overpowered or something? I don't know.
I know I'm stopping a lot because it's giving me nostalgia baity. I'm gonna let him talk a little bit and then cook. Just a counter argument to this right now. We are very strong in Destiny, ability-wise. And we do get very broken stuff. Maybe not to the level of... I take that back. I mean, Still Hunt was very strong and needed to beat the Witness. The lightsaber right now, incredibly broken. And that's the thing. Bungie makes broken things to sell expansions to which then they will nerf later. You can tell the pattern is so obvious. Bungie sells expansion with one, or sometimes not at all, but there's usually some broken expansion, or sorry, exotic or super. You know, we had Strand, kind of strong. They had to buff it. Stasis was ungodly strong for PvP. Like that's a 9/11 for a lot of PvP players. They sell things hot that they plan on nerfing later, but they want to sell it with expansion. So we have had some very broken moments compared to Destiny 1. But I think Destiny 1 was just complete, accidental versus it's planned in Destiny 2.
But why is it that I'm legitimately excited for every weekly reset in Destiny 1, and I haven't been excited for a Destiny 2 weekly reset in years?
Preach!
Think about Xur. Exotics are so much rarer in Destiny 1, and new rolls of those exotics are so much rarer that every time Xur comes around, there's actual real loot for every player playing the game. Nobody has a perfect roll of every piece of exotic armor lying around, and
That's
even
true.
if they did, you can still use your strange coins, which aren't capped, by the way, to buy heavy ammo
Oh my
synths
God.
for your average gameplay, or motes of light to upgrade your gear. Back to the exotics, if you do have a ton of currencies and you're looking for a better roll of an exotic, you can spend those currencies to buy glass needles and then reroll the exotics that you already have. Tell me why.
It's crazy that we had these systems in Destiny 1, and yes, Destiny 2 was this awful experience, but instead of just taking what they already had as a blueprint for Destiny 1, like Forsaken did a damn near the best job they could to bring the game back to life, right? We can all agree Forsaken did its absolute best. But we got to be honest. There's no excuse why they couldn't take more from Destiny 1 and bring it to Destiny 2. I don't understand. They have no problem taking models from Destiny 1, but they have systems. No, we can't do that.
Why Destiny 1 Xur's inventory is like 5 times more interesting than Destiny 2 Xur's, even though Destiny 1 Xur brings like 5 rotating
He's got
items
that.
each
I
week.
love it. I
This
want to
is
do that.
Genuinely
The
insane.
subscribe button.
But that's not all, because when Bungie was actively designing content for Destiny 1, every year with the new DLC, they would reset all the vendor gear. There would
Yes.
be all new vendor gear.
Yes.
Think about that. Imagine if Witch Queen had rolled around and Shaxx got an entirely new inventory. Or Zavala got an entirely new set of Nightfall weapons.
Yes.
Or, hell, imagine if there was an entire new suite of Trials armor and weapons. Imagine if Bungie wasn't late by 3 months every time they promised to give.
Imagine they actually gave you new armor that they, they didn't try to gaslight you and say they're giving you new armor. Instead, they take the new armor and put it in Eververse, and then they sell you a recolor of Season 2 armor. Man, imagine that. Bungie would never.
Us new gear for Trials. Imagine if Iron Banner not only took less than 6 months to come back, but also got a full new suite of armor and
Oh, that'd be
weapons every
sweet.
time a big DLC dropped. How is Destiny 1 still outperforming Destiny 2 all these years later? And that's not to say that Destiny 1 got more content than Destiny 2, because in some cases Destiny 2 does get more content. It's just that the Destiny 1 content actually went where it mattered. You know, the core health of the game. There's new.
It's simple. Some of the core faces, Destiny 1, are no longer at the company. And, you know, you had like Luke Smith hang in there for the longest time, but Luke Smith wasn't making the entire game. But he did, you know, have impact. Outside of the DCV, we can all agree that's his greatest sin, that the cross he has to bear, right? Greatest sin, right? But that man had a massive influence in the game. Christopher Barrett, Mr. Mr. Pervert, also massive influence in the game. Other developers that either walked away or got fired that had influence. These are the people that made Destiny, and a lot of them aren't even in Bungie anymore. And when you remove some of these core components, it's like removing parts in a clock, whether they're big or small. If the original clock came with them, if you remove them, they no longer function correctly. Like the clock is not going to run the way you want it. It's no longer the same clock. And that's kind of where we're at. You could put new gears in it, but if it's not the right size, or if it's, you know, you're not as useful or efficient, you're going to have issues with the clock. That's Destiny in a nutshell right now.
Crucible maps with each DLC. There's new strikes with each DLC. These are things that a player who loves Destiny is going to be playing hundreds of times. So of course it makes sense for that to be what receives the support from the studio. Why is this a lesson that Bungie just forgot? Most of the people in the community have chalked this up to free to play, but I fail to see how Destiny 2 being free to play means that you can neglect the actual core player base who are playing the game. And
well, see, that's the funny part. When you're a C-suite leader, and it's not just Pete Parsons, there are plenty other greedy C-suites in Bungie that we know, or we don't know technically who they are, but we know they exist. You know, I forgot who was the dude that said that they weren't going to take pay cuts to keep Bungie employees who were being laid off because, quote, they weren't that kind of company. That guy is still probably in the C-suite, right? You have people like that who only care about money. They don't care about their developers. They don't care about their community or the people buying, you know, the consumers. They only care about that money. And you would think that people who want money would actually listen to the consumer. Not Bungie for some reason. For years, they've decided we're just going to do whatever we want. And the C-suite have never got their hands slapped. Never.
Buying Eververse things every week. Like, surely there is someone on the board with the foresight to understand this very simple concept, right?
No.
Like,
no.
Surely.
You
surely.
Sweet summer child.
And yet, when I look over what Bungie has done with Destiny 2 for the last several years, I keep seeing this same short-sightedness appear again and again. The new power level grind, the removal of reputation tracks from every vendor, refusing to support Gambit or Crucible or Strikes. Like, these problems that you've created for yourself actively damage the game. I know you can't see it, but the longer each activity festers, the more each player begins to hate it. And when a player hates the game enough, they just quit. They don't tell you, they don't post about it on Twitter like content creators do. They just leave, and
the average Joe is not going to be on Twitter. Like, they work a 9 to 5. They might have a family. They might be in college. They're going to go play Fortnite. They're going to go play Marvel Rivals, Crimson Desert, Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege, whatever. They're going to go to, first off, probably a free-to-play game. And secondly, if it's not a live service free-to-play game, they're probably going to go play a single-player game because they're jaded, because they're tired of playing a live service game that doesn't actually give them the service they want. And they're not going to make videos, you know, criticizing Bungie. They're the dudes that you try to raid with or you try to play with, and they get upset and they say, this crap always happens. I hate Bungie, yada, yada. And then they stop playing and you never see them again. They do the Homer Simpson meme where they fade into the bush and they're gone. You never see them again. They're lost. It doesn't matter what you post, DMG post on Twitter, saying we're listening, we need to build trust, we need to build momentum, all that jazz. Most of these people will never see because they're not on Twitter. They're not looking at a bunch of videos. They're done. They're like, I'm tired of Destiny. Fuck it.
Don't come back. Like, let's take my friend, for example, and this isn't a hypothetical. This actually happened. He used to get on every week to run strikes. He was just a strike player. That was what he did. Every time he would get on and run some strikes, and he would just run strikes because it was fun for him. That was the way he found fun in the game.
Yeah.
Making some new builds, running some strikes with his goofy fashion and his wacky guns that he pulled, okay?
Best way
so
to play
what
Destiny.
do you think happened when Bungie went 4 years without releasing a significant number of strikes? When Bungie continuously diluted the strike playlist with battlegrounds that are just slogs that you have to sit there and kill enemies mindlessly.
Battlegrounds are so lazy. There's a couple all right ones, but they were so lazy. Like, you play a battleground and then you play a strike. One had soul to it. One was like, it felt more connected to the story and lore, what was going on. Battlegrounds felt like, I don't know, man. It felt it felt bad. That's all I gotta say. They just don't feel good. They feel soulless is the best way to talk about it. By the way, loved farming Grandmasters. That was my go-to. Even if a season was garbage, I would farm Grandmasters because they're so fun. It is what it is.
Through. He left. This was not a casual player, okay? This was a person with thousands of hours in the game. This was a person who consistently did raids. This was a person who would sometimes join me for Crucible matches. And yet, because Bungie stopped supporting the core aspect of the game that he enjoyed the most, he just left. Straight up. Now, if my good friend with thousands of hours in the game left because you stopped supporting the strike playlist, imagine how many casuals leave every single day because the certain aspect of the game they like gets treated like piss. I can tell you, it's not a small number. Okay.
Let me throw a different instance for you. Imagine Bungie treats the game like shit and the veterans leave. The people that they'll be kind enough to do Sherpas, like dungeons and stuff like that. They quit. They stop playing. Well, guess what? If the people that are willing to do Sherpas quit, who's going to help the newbies? Well, what happens, you have a bunch of newbies who don't know what they're doing, join up. They get angry at each other. Or if there's a veteran that didn't want to Sherpa, then they get toxic and upset. Granted, they didn't sign up for that. They don't want to Sherpa. But let's be honest, there's been many who had to face off against someone who's overly toxic. Guess what? All those people that were new and fresh, they're like, screw this game, man. I spent all day with a bunch of people who didn't know what they're doing, and now I'm joining this, and this asshole is telling me that I need to learn how to sword skip, and I need to be able to glitch through the map and yada, yada, yada. Or they're being told I need to do these combos that they have no idea what they're doing because they're fairly new. Granted, when I say new light or stuff like that, I'm not talking about someone who just booted up the game. They've been playing long enough that they're at level to do a basic raid. They're not doing master or shit like that. They're just doing a basic raid. They're dipping their toes and they're being, they're having a shitty experience. By the way, that's why people don't raid, or at least only 10% raid. But the point is when you have the demographic shrink and shrink and shrink, the people willing to teach and help, and even though I wouldn't want to do that, and I don't have the time maybe, or even the patience, someone else would love to do that, and they do that. Well, if they're gone, who's going to help the newbies? And it causes more dwindling because then he's right. These new lights, these new players, or these casuals, they leave because they're like, well, if there's no end game for me, why should I care?
Okay, the amount of people that love PvP and left this game, basically my entire clan. Twice.
Damn.
Okay, how many people do you think liked casual raiding, and yet when you killed casual raiding with the feat system, left? Again, not a small number.
That's an argument to be had. I think the feat system would have been fine if it was an optional challenge just to challenge yourself. It was the worst choice. It is so stupid that they changed it to where the in-game activity, you have to jump through hoops to even get like a tier 3, let alone tier 5 of raid gear. You have to do the challenges, which used to be the way where you get depths, but you had to do challenges, then you had to do like alternative different bosses or enemies, and you have to do -40 and all these other extra bullshit that makes raiding more fucking intolerable just to get 1 or 2 tier 5 drops. Meanwhile, little Timmy can go boot up a Crucible, be -3,000 KD, and get 5-star gear because he's at level 550. Make it make sense. It's ass backwards. The end game should be the most generous thing for people that are willing to tackle the challenge versus the everyday stuff. It feels like we're back at Destiny 1, or not Destiny 1, Destiny 2 launch, where the game is everyone gets a participation trophy except for the veterans or the people that are doing end game. Everyone gets a participation trophy except for you. Fuck you. That's what it feels like.
Basically the entire PvE section of my clan twice. Okay, this is not something that is sustainable. Consistently, Bungie fails to provide the most basic support for systems in the game that people love, adore. Nothing else in the entire gaming industry is like it, and yet Bungie pisses on it as if it is garbage. How? How do you do this? It's as if you are reading the Bible, and then every time you see some interesting wisdom, you think, maybe I will go contradict this today. And you eventually end up an AIDS-ridden flea bag laying on the floor addicted to heroin. Okay? This is how Destiny has progressed.
You're gonna be... You're gonna be like Banshee. He's gonna be a hobo with schizophrenia collecting all the trash off the street.
For the last, 7 DLCs, okay? Even back to Shadowkeep, this was a problem,
yes.
Right? How is it this bad? How is it this bad for so long? It is a testament to the Destiny 2 players' resilience that Bungie still has any player base at all when this is how they are being treated. It's a bit...
Am I signed into my account? I am. I wish I could like this 5 times. That statement right there represents the problem with Destiny. Video done. We're over. You could say it's over. That right there covered it all.
Abysmal. It's genuinely abysmal. And now you may be saying, sis, you're taking it too hard on Bungie. They've got their hands full with Marathon. Okay, literally all you have to do every DLC, every year, okay, yearly 5 Crucible maps, strikes, and maybe 2 or 3 Gambit maps, and people would love you. People would jerk you off. People would literally sit there on the floor.
Well, to be honest, Bungie does the bare minimum now, and you have content creators that are jerking them. I'm not being honest. I'm being true. People don't like it, but I am being 100% true, and no one can deny it. What Bungie has given to people have gone down the toilet, and yet people will still jerk them off. Same price, less content, less quality, people will still jerk them off. It doesn't even matter.
And let you do whatever you wanted to them as a studio, okay? You could make the game straight up pay to win, as is the case with Destiny Rising, and people would still love you, okay? It's genuinely insane how you manage to do the one thing that can piss off an MMO player base and make them leave over this many years. Since 2019, you have been doing this. How is this possible? How is it possible to do these many things that people hate for this long? How have you not learned your lesson?
I think the biggest thing is, how have they survived? That's the thing he's not talking about. He did mention us being resilient, but is it resilience? Or is it Stockholm Syndrome? Is it masochism? Because as much as we say what's wrong with them, what the fuck is wrong with us?
Listen, people every day give you feedback on Twitter, on YouTube, on fucking Reddit. People are telling you exactly what you need to do to make the game better, and that's give content to the core experiences.
Damn,
and
that's saucy hat shot.
do it. How are you this stupid? Like, okay, let's say
They're not stupid. They just don't care. There's a difference. I wish Bungie was just stupid. That's the sad part. You can't even be upset with their own hubris of being stupid. The C-suites and the people making the ultimate decisions just don't care.
you make a card game.
And here's why. Because they know, and unfortunately they know, that no matter what they do, maybe not anymore, but for that finite amount of time before final shape, they knew that they could literally do shit all and people would still buy their shit. They'd swipe for microtransactions. What's that? You're upset because Lightfall sucked ass? What about this collab? Oh, Fortnite. Don't you want Fortnite? Swipe the card. That's exactly the formula of Bungie. They don't care. At least the C-suites don't.
What is the most obvious thing a card game needs in order to make people play it and continuously engage with it? Cards, right? A trading card game needs cards. And so as a company, you decide, let's make some cards. And so you make some cards, and then you make some cards, and then you make some cards, and then all of a sudden you just decide to stop making cards, right? You do some really shoddy business math and you realize that your merch sector is making 66% of revenue and your cards are only making 33%.
I'm gonna do, because I'm going overtime, and it's not him, it's me, because I talk a lot, but it's a very passionate topic. I'm gonna boost the speed. Again, not him, me.
And so you, being the quarterly minded businessman that you are, decide to only sell merch. For the rest of your business's tangible career, you are only going to sell merch. What? Don't you understand that the only reason people are buying the merch is because the cards are good? Because they like how the cards feel? Because they like how the cards play. That's the only reason they're engaging with your business, because you sell cards. This is Bungie. Bungie has decided to stop selling cards. How?
They decide to sell you napkins instead.
How do you make that?
Napkins with Dora the Explorer collab on them. That's what they're doing.
Decision. Okay, so that's enough harping on about the core of the game being neglected. Let's get back to the main topic of this video, which is the weekly reset.
Yes.
What would you actually need to make the weekly reset interesting again? Well, how about the return of weekly activities?
Yes.
Let's say there's a weekly Crucible playlist, and after 3 matches of the playlist, you get a non-honorary engram. It's really just that simple. Players love Eververse stuff, and non-honorary engrams would feel like real Eververse loot. As for the loot pool, you don't even...
I think that's a good point. It's paying. You're technically getting paid by cosmetics to play, but at the same time, there is so much loot, like cosmetic loot from years and years and years. Like, let's be honest, Bungie is not going to break the bank because people are getting access to, cosmetics from 5 years ago. There is no shot. We're like, oh no, they're getting too many cosmetics playing Crucible. Huh? It's not like you're giving them the Taken set right out the rip.
have to sacrifice any Eververse sales for this. You can just make it stuff from a year ago and before, or stuff from 2 seasons ago and before, right? Like, you can be very stingy with this loot pool and just make it so whenever players get dupes, they get Bright Dust. And players would love you for making just this one simple change where running a couple Crucible matches each.
They don't want you to know about this one simple change that'll make them love you. Bro. Sorry.
Gives you an honorary engram. There are so many positively minded players in this community that are just waiting to give you the benefit of the doubt. All you have to do is give them a little bit of fuel and they'll be right there backing you up. For strikes, let's...
Not anymore. There are some brand new that came in Edge of Fate, or they came in Renegades. But I think most people are, like, I would say 80% of the community is jaded with Bungie. And most of them are not, they're on the fence of whether or not to give Bungie the benefit of the doubt. I think most people do not feel comfortable giving Bungie the benefit of the doubt, not because all the developers are awful, though there is definitely some awful developers for sure, because Pete Parsons wasn't making all the decisions on development, right? But most of the horrible decisions and the routes and the greed and the not giving developers time to cook and focus on making sure the game is functional, that is the C-suite. That is their decision and choices to navigate. That is their cross, their sin to, and yet none of them will ever be punished. That's the unfair reality, is that everyone loses but the C-suite.
do something similar. There's a weekly strike playlist. You can call it heroic strikes even, and there are some heavier hitting modifiers on it. Let's retune burns and make them go both ways again and make it so that they actually provide a meaningful shift to gameplay via damage increases.
Yeah.
And once you finish 3 weekly strikes, you get an honorary engram. And then you can do that 3 times and you get your 3 honorary engrams. And then maybe after that or during it at the same time, you can make it so that every 3 strikes you get a guaranteed shiny weapon from, you know, the selected shiny
Damn.
weapon pool that week.
He's cooking. He's cooking. Because shiny weapons, they're cosmetic. And you think, well, then it doesn't matter. Like, who's going to give a shit about shiny weapons if it's just cosmetic? Have you ever checked out the Pokemon community? They will spend countless thousands of hours farming for shiny Pokemon. Does it change how the game plays? No. But they just want the shiny. They want the pretty colors. They want the unique, rare thing. It makes complete sense. And it's not that hard. And I'm going to put something above what he's saying. Bring shiny weapons that aren't this carbon copy bullshit. Because Bungie's gotten lazy with shiny weapons, where now everything has the same thing. Like for a season, everything is going to have the same glow. Like the first season, what was it? Was blue. Everything was blue. Now we're going to have green and then red. I think we had red already, but then we're going to have blue. Like we're going through the whole color palette where everything within the season is just one color. Like at least the events are unique. Like we had some flames, we had some camo. The map one was stupid. Like the map shiny was stupid, but hey, it was something different. Arms Day was pretty cool. If like the samurai, like the purple glow was badass. Like stuff like that is great. More of that.
Or the weekly shiny weapon, and you can just keep grinding that as long as you want. Just give strike players something to do.
Yep.
They so badly want to do something. Give them something to do. Okay, but what about that sort of middle to end game community that likes casual raiding but can't really be bothered to run stuff on high feats? Well, how about making it so that the first clear of a raid each week gives you a guaranteed tier 5 holofoil weapon? These kinds of like pseudo end game players love holofoil stuff because it just gives them an additional chase that's just fun. Like it's not power, it's not like actual in-game effectiveness. It's just a fun thing that they can kind of go after. If
You are shiny hunting your shiny Charmander. That's what it is. We're 5,000 resets on the Game Boy. I just want a shiny Charmander.
make it so that the first clear of a raid each week gives you a hollow foil weapon at tier 5, no matter what your light level is, no matter what feats you engage it with, it will create an attraction for all those people that are sort of stuck in the middle ground of like, oh, well, I want to do a raids, but the raid loot isn't worth it, but, well, I could be asked to do a raid, but, like, none of my friends are on, but, like, I'd do it if it was just a, you know, it gives them that little push that they need to engage with the raid each week. Now, let's talk about Gambit, because I, Bungie, did not forget about you guys, and I actually want an excuse to play Gambit as well. So, here's what I suggest.
I want Gambit Prime back, and I want the rolls. That was pinnacle. Like, for me, that was the best of Gambit, was Gambit Prime. I love Gambit Prime. I love playing the different roles and wear the armor. That was probably some of the most unique aspects of Destiny was during the Forsaken level, or era, especially with Gambit, man.
Let's say every week the Drifter offers 3 weapons from his loot pool. You can go to the Drifter, select one of these weapons, and after 3 matches, you will get 7 copies of that weapon. Every week, you can go to Drifter, pick up the quest, or select the thing in his inventory, 3 matches of Gambit, 7 drops of the weapon you're chasing, okay? A perfect god roll in this game is 1 in 200, something like that, with the tier 5 system. And, you know, a god roll for PvE is like 1 in 4. A casual PvE player will still be encouraged to engage with this over multiple weeks because there are that many weapons that they are interested in the Gambit loot pool. With the Gambit loot refresh Bungie has been talking about, right? There's going to be a lot of interesting loot in the Gambit loot pool. I don't know if it's all getting refreshed, but a lot of it will be, right? So you can do this, not overcrowd the amount of non-honorary engrams, because I know Bungie would be worried about handing out that much Eververse loot, not rely on hollow foils, because that can be a raid exclusive thing, and this can be its own separate thing just for Gambit, and Gambit loot has always been the main attractor, similar to Crucible loot, but in a different...
That's true, but unfortunately, there's only been like pieces and bits of Gambit loot that's actually been good. I think that's another problem. You need to make gear that actually matters. Not this Dollar General, we're just throwing this out there with some, it's just another gun to throw out there for throwing it out there's sake. Like, actually make something that has value. Let's go back to having pinnacle weapons. Like the way we used to have. The Recluse, Not Forgotten, Chase. Let's bring it back.
way, because Gambit loot has actually historically been really interesting for the game. All right, the last thing I want to talk about before ending this video is vendors. Vendors in Destiny 2 are fundamentally different than vendors in Destiny
They're
1 because
awful.
weapons in Destiny 2 are fundamentally different than weapons in Destiny 1 by about a full order of magnitude based on how hard it is to get a god roll, right? So here's what I suggest. Every completion of a Strike, Crucible, or Gambit match would give you 1 token for that respective area, right? Complete a Crucible match, get 1 Crucible token. Finish a Strike, Vanguard token. Cool. Every week, each vendor that has to do with those specific activities would have 3 weapons available that you can spend your tokens on. This would be from their full loot pool, and it would just be tokens. No glimmer, no nothing, just the tokens.
Full or old? What?
So, the entire idea is every week you go check the vendors. What is there that I can grind for this week from that pool of weapons that spans the entire game's history? And then you can just spend your tokens on that.
Yeah,
Like, the
that's
idea
fair.
isn't to force you to play the activity, but rather in
I like how we've also, the suggestion he's talking about, we are going full circle back into the token system of Destiny 2. We're going back, baby. It is kind of funny. We have gone full circle, and a lot of people hated the token system. And it was pretty fucking bad. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't shape it in a way that it's rewarding and good, but just historically, tokens we're not going to forget 2 tokens in a blue, are we? 2 tokens in a blue.
engage with the vendor and profit from actually having played the activity in the past. That's why it's an uncapped currency, because the whole idea is, okay, well, I play this activity that I like a lot, so I can take this token that I've earned from playing a whole lot and then spend that to get this weapon that just so happens to be focused. This gives the actual vendor life. This gives people a reason to pay attention to what the actual vendor has in stock. Imagine, for example, that you're a really successful, prolific strike grinder.
I'm also going to say it. Bring back the mini battle pass. That gave vendors massive life. In fact, it helped new players and veterans. Veterans needed materials. Guess what? Just play the activity. You unlock a bunch of free material and, like, you know, a couple exotics, and they can make it to where it's really hard to get, harder to get the exotics, right? So they're not just handouts, or just remove them completely and just make it all just material important aspects, right? But it was also great for new players because it was a quick way for them to, you know, if they want to play a bunch of PvP, then they could get a bunch of, you know, material quick and easy. You were able to identify it. You were able to say, hey, how do I get this to do this? Just play Crucible. You'll get it on the battle pass, and you keep resetting, and you'll get more of it after you reset your battle pass, and you keep resetting, so you can grind and grind and grind. And it's a very, it's so easy. Like, there's no mystery. There's no trying to, you know, worry about RNG. It's just play the thing, grind it out, and you will get it. It's in the player's face. And that's something that Bungie doesn't do well anymore, is put things, how do I get this easily? Well, just play the game and grind this out. Instead of it being completely like Glimmer has just been a nightmare for years.
And you've always wanted a perfect copy of Prolonged Engagement, the SMG, for some reason. And so, one week, Zavala just happens to have it for sale. And despite the fact that it's like a 1 in fucking 10,000 or whatever, because it's a 12 perk pool, you can spend all those tokens that you have saved up from just playing the activity forever to get basically 1,000 chances at getting your god roll, right? And if you don't get it, then whatever. And if you do get it, still whatever. You know, it's a weapon from the game's past. So it's not super important if players can just dump all their tokens and get a god roll the first day of the week. Remember, these are things from the game's past. And if you do want to have weapons that are, you know, part of the newest loot pool that you ship, maybe just make a limit. You can only buy 10 copies of this weapon this week with tokens or something, right? The important part is to limit
or make it 1 per week. Like, we did that with Arms Day in Destiny 1 with the gunsmith. You got like 1. Did you get 1? I'm trying to remember. Can you have up to 3 bounties? I'm pretty sure it was 1. Maybe I'm wrong. Either way, there was a cap.
the purchase of the weapon, not the token itself, because the token is a monument to how dedicated you are to the activity. It's like Crucible resets used to be before you took them away for some stupid reason. So to conclude, Reset Day feels insanely empty. And I hope that some of these solutions that I provided could help just a little bit to explain exactly what's wrong with it, what could be changed to fix it, how easy it is to fix it, and perhaps maybe just a little bit why the community is so annoyed with Bungie over this specific issue. Because it's a little bit dumb, don't you think? That Reset Day in one of the most popular MMOs ever, maybe not anymore, but it used to be, it's an undeniable fact, is so empty and feels so worthless to log on for, right? Logging on for Reset is like checking the Eververse store and then closing the game again. So
yeah, that's That's what it is, because people are seeing what's for Bright Dust. So they're like, what's for free in the, okay. You don't have to do that anymore because you could just follow a Twitter account that tells you. Now you don't even have to boot the game up. Like, if there's nothing good, you're like, okay, well, I'm not booting on anymore.
I hope that this video helped provide some perspective, and if it didn't, I don't know, hit the dislike button. People seem to like doing that recently. I don't know. Have a good day. Like, whatever.
Great video and very honest. And again, go get it, but like all facts ain't good. Covered everything that was wrong. And I like I said, I try to cover in some of the fill in the blanks with some of it, right? But mostly 100% true, right? When people like the frustration here is like, I give Bungie shit and I make fun of them, and rightly so. They deserve it. Because like I said, it's not all just the C-suites, which is why I make fun of them too. That's why I have Pete Grossman. That's where the inspiration for my skits, the greedy CEO, comes from. It's making fun of Bungie CEOs, you know, and their C-suite. But there's also some developers that have also made awful decisions and butchered the game. But we can all agree it's mostly the C-suite. But the criticism is fair. And unfortunately, I feel like people are going to, there's going to be people that are like, you just want to hate the hate and yada, yada. You guys are never happy, yada, yada. Listen, they speak the facts. This game is dead. Not like dead yet, but it feels dead compared to what it was. A game that, a franchise that has so much potential that could have been over the top, one of the most iconic franchises. And time again, Bungie doesn't just shoot their foot, they shoot every corner of their body. Anytime they build momentum into the lights, can you remember how much goodwill Bungie built with Into the Lights? And then the final shape was really good. Like, sure, I would not say it was the 10 out of 10 that I would have loved to have, but it was like an 8 out of 10 for me. It was the best. Like, I'm glad we got what we got. But after that, everything just has nosedived downhill. Any momentum, they literally just broke their own legs and said, nah, we're done. Anyways, I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Check out the link to the video. Give them a like. 100% video was fire.